to Huffle His Fault with Lucas and Natalie.
Hello!
We are back today with our very first review video.
Oh, first review. Who knows how this is going to go?
I know. So we are going to be reviewing the Callisto Protocol, which is a game that we have just finished. So thank you so much to everyone who has watched our videos, who's liked them, who's commented on them. We really, really appreciate the support and we can't wait to carry on doing more for you all in the future.
Nice.
So if you haven't played this game yet and you don't want spoilers, then look away now because we are going to talk about this game in detail and it will include spoilers.
So, let me set the scene. We are playing Jacob Lee, who crash lands on the moon Callisto at the start of the game and is subjected to all kinds of horrors over the next 8 to 10 hours of playing. He has to throw zombies into spike machines, he has to fight evil captains, and eventually he has to find a way to escape Black Iron Prison.
And find out what's gone on in there.
What the F has gone on?
Oh my god!
Natalie, what were your highs and lows from the story?
So, right from the start, I do feel I was quite captivated because it
Right.
was very action-packed, right? Because there was stuff happening on that ship. There were people boarding it that we didn't even know who they were. They made the ship go decompress and we crashed. And I thought visually that was like beautiful. And I was like, where is this gonna go?
So you were really kind of captivated by the mystery of the kind of prison. Why was all this terrible stuff happening? I agree with you. Like, do you know what I didn't? Do you know what I didn't like? So, for the first half, there was all this mystery, and I was like looking forward to like finding out what was going on. And then it basically felt like in the middle of the game, there was no real explainer or no real kind of uncovering of that story. And then at the end of the game, there was like 15 minutes where it was just like information drop.
Yeah, I feel like we got a little bit from our friend Elias. He was kind of our guide through.
No, but he didn't know anything that was going on, right? So he was just as confused as Jacob was.
But he did know his way around the prison.
And you just got to this scene near the end where you kind of went into the dome. And do you remember there were like 5 holograms in a row where they were like, and this is why the infection happened. And it was just like, okay, you're telling the story through these like repeated dialogues one after the other. And, you know, after playing games like Last of Us and God of War and these masterpieces, they drip feed the story in throughout. And it just felt like a little bit like, and here's the story.
Yes, yeah.
Should we also talk about the bosses in the game? So let's just recap. Captain Ferris as the Alpha was the main boss.
Yeah.
And you also then had those kind of 2-headed lurcher creature things.
Yeah, I don't know what they were.
What did you make of them?
I mean, the first look that we got of the 2-headed bosses, that was quite like, wow, we haven't seen one of those yet. Like, oh my god, run! We're gonna die!
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I react.
Well, when it came on the platform, that was cool.
Yeah, so it was like, and it came up over the box, and it was like, the graphics for that were like really cool.
And then we fought it.
And then we fight it, and I wouldn't say that the bosses, if you can call them bosses, can you call them bosses? The fights didn't last long.
They were so repetitive as well, right?
Like,
so like literally with the Alpha, Captain Ferris, and the 2-headed ones, they're basically the same enemy, really, because they were doing these big, like, swooping attacks, and you just had to kind of like dodge, 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 dodge.
Yeah.
And you heard me, I was like actually counting out the number of dodges I had to do to then hit them back.
Yeah.
Not really any depth in...
And also, with Captain Ferris, we knew that he was a bit of a douche.
Yeah.
Right? We knew that from the start, he was going to be one that we were like, we're going to end up fighting this guy at some point. However, they made it seem like we wouldn't, because he got rugby tackled out of a window by the inmates that had obviously transformed due to this infection, and we thought, okay, maybe we're not going to see him again.
But that was a nice twist. So when he released Jacob and Elias out of the airlock, I was like, oh, cool, he's going to be like, they're going to build him and he's going to be a great boss. And it was just such an anticlimax.
It didn't last long enough for me.
Yeah.
You look at like some of the bosses that you have to fight in other games, and it takes a while. I feel like as soon as you got into a rhythm and you throw those explosive canisters, at him, it was over quite quickly.
And just to kind of wrap up my thoughts on the story, obviously Jacob was kind of trapped there at the end, and he helped him and Danny connected, right? And he realized that he was transporting the infection that kind of corrupted everybody.
He had no idea.
But it was like, you know, he didn't really know what was in those canisters, and all of a sudden he was like, I'm the worst guy in the world, I'm going to leave myself here on the planet. You had the warden talking to those like random aliens. I don't know if they were aliens.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And I don't know. It felt like they scraped the surface of the story, and I wanted more. And as you say, it ended before I felt fully.
It ended
informed.
On a cliffhanger, though.
Well, sure, but they're going to do that to sell a second game.
They're going to do another one. Maybe we'll get more of the story there.
Maybe.
So the graphics. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I thought about some of those.
Well, go on then. What did you think?
The fights and you having to throw the enemies up against the machinery that was around.
They conveniently place spikes on the wall.
Oh my gosh. The way that it grinds them up, or just like some of the death scenes. I mean, the graphics look great, but I did not need to see some of those brutal deaths.
Okay, so the death scenes, for me, they are unnecessary. So, like, obviously, before the game came out, there was a lot of hype around the death scenes, and I think it certainly generated a lot of interest. But did it add any value to the game? I don't know.
I mean, everyone loves a death scene, right? In games, do they?
No.
Does everyone love a death scene? But some of them, the one where they pushed his eyes in, I thought I was watching a repeat of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Just the mountain crushing the face of poor Pedro. But I did not need to see, like, that was so in-depth. It's so gruesome.
When we talk about graphics, I really enjoyed bits like the shoe. So when we came up that lift and we saw the shoe for the first time, that panoramic
was beautiful.
Was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed wiping the glass before you went into the habitat level and you could see Jupiter. And I really liked Jupiter framing a lot of the levels. I thought that was really cool. I will say there's a lot of tunnels. There was a lot of tunnels.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of vents. And there was a lot of ladders.
Yeah.
And it did feel a little bit like sometimes I was just kind of moving through some quite dull levels. The shantytown bit, I kind of felt like it was a good idea, but I just felt it was a bit grey, a bit dark, a bit... I don't know. I remember the Jupiter bit and I remember the shoe bit because they felt like a real moment in otherwise a crowded...
They looked great. They looked great when you know, like you said, when you first see them. Wow, what are we going to do in there?
Yeah.
And there was the part in the shoe that we explored those environments a bit more of where you can throw them into. I think that was the first time.
But why?
They show you how that, like, use your environments around you and throw the body into it.
I know I shouldn't think about it too hard, but why was there a room in the shoe full of spikes that apparently powered the door? That made no sense whatsoever. And like the car wash spiky thing, like, why have you built a trap in the middle of the prison?
To stop them from escaping.
I will say, the character models, so Ferris and Jacob and Danny and Elias, looked beautiful. I thought there weren't many characters in the game.
No, there wasn't actually.
I thought they looked stunning. I thought the robots looked really cool. I thought the enemies were quite interesting. So I think they got that bit right.
Yeah.
One last thing on graphics I'll say is I really enjoyed the forge as well for the 3D printing of the weapons.
Oh yes, I loved that.
I thought that was a nice little touch.
I did like that.
I'm a bit of a sucker for those kind of things in games, so I love that in Last of Us 2 where you kind of craft the weapons and put that together. But I really enjoyed seeing the weapons build.
Yeah.
On the weapons though, there were 2 shotguns, there were 2 pistols, and there's 1 assault rifle. Again, the theme I would say of this review and my thoughts on the game is lack of depth. Lack of depth in the story, lack of depth in the gameplay, and lack of depth just across multiple things.
Yeah. So when we talk about those horrific death scenes as well, the water slide. Now, I loved that bit. I mean, we're calling it a water slide. It was basically a pipe that was taking you out somewhere. My goodness.
Do you remember when we started that and we were both like, wee, this is fun, wee, and then just fan.
We got stuck in the fan.
The fan boom, crushed your body
Chopped us
in half. And we were both like...
And it also had the weird spikes, and he face planted one at once.
Again, not to overanalyze this too much, but why has this water tunnel got loads of spikes in it? Yeah, not sure.
To catch the rubbish.
But there was no rubbish in the spikes. Just your body being.
But I did enjoy that water slide. It was a very fun moment in the game.
Another really cool graphics bit was at the end of that water slide where you kind of went flying out. He grabbed the chain and he swung through the waterfall, and the zombie creature was like, bleh.
It was also the same as when they got to the top of the where they were going to get on the ship.
Yeah.
And the warden turned up and blew it up. The ship came crashing down. I thought that was pretty cool as well, because again, you were using the same mechanics of navigating through air, dodging all these bits that were flying at you, and I thought that bit was really cool as well.
There were definitely some super cool highlights like that.
Definitely.
I just wish there had been more of them and kind of less of the repeated fighting zombies through tunnels.
One of the environments that I did really enjoy was the snowy bits where you were outside.
Were you outdoors?
Yeah. I mean, we just had a heartbreaking moment when we got outdoors. We lost our bro. We lost Elias.
Bro!
But then it meant that we were exploring the outdoors and that environment, and obviously they hid some of the infected in the snow, so they were jumping out of you. So there were some really cool jump scare moments in the game as well. And we love a good jump scare, don't we?
So I really wanted more of the Europa streets. Yes. So when you had that flashback of Danny losing her sister, that was super cool. It was like a futuristic sci-fi street. It was straight out of Blade Runner with the kind of neon signs. Yeah. I wanted more of that. And I'm sure if they were to do a second game, they would give you more of that.
I would hope so, because it did look really cool. Because we got a taste of it at the start, and then we got a taste of it when Danny was sort of explaining to us, you know, why. One
less vent would have been nice, and to have more of those Europa streets.
Yes. Okay, so my final thoughts on the game. Yeah. Now, I'm not a pro. I do enjoy games, though. I enjoyed it. For what it was. Sure. I enjoyed getting the jump scares, the being on edge of like, when's the next one coming? What's around the corner? I thought it had some really good moments. I enjoyed the water slide bit that we've talked about. I enjoyed the beginning, that it really captivates you of like, okay, where's this going? So I would play it again. Maybe if I was going to do the trophy hunting and get the platinum, I think that would be a good reason to play it again, and maybe enjoy a little bit more of it, and look for things that I might have missed. But that's my overview of Callisto Protocol.
So my final thoughts are similar to yours. I think I had a really strong start. I was really impressed by the graphics. I'm really excited to get into it. I had fun playing it, like, don't get me wrong. Like, the jump scares were good. It was a joy to play it. I think that couple came across in the playthroughs that you saw. But I just wanted more. I kind of felt like I wanted more backstory. I wanted more weapons. I wanted more different types of enemies. And to be fair to the developers of this game, I think they were quite a small studio. They got a lot of press because obviously it was a lot of the team from Dead Space, and they were heavily supported by Sony on this project. But ultimately, I felt like they probably didn't have enough time to create the fully fledged experience. And I'd like to think that if they had another go at it, if they created the Callisto Protocol 2, I think it would be a much deeper game, and it would be more memorable as a result. And I've seen a lot of negative reviews online of it, but I would recommend for someone who wants to have a bit of a jump scare, who wants to scream a little bit, and gets to play a fun horror game.
So that is Callisto Protocol in a nutshell. Our next game, which we're very excited for, obviously we've played it before, but The Last of Us Part 1 is our next game, alongside our usual playthroughs of God of War Ragnarok. And we are also going to be doing our reaction videos to The Last of Us TV series that HBO will be bringing out.
Excited for that.
It starts in the UK on the 16th of January.
Forget Veganary. This is Last of Us
Anary.
Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a blast. One final thing from me. Thank you to everyone who watched any of the Callisto Protocol playthroughs.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to bringing you more content soon. Let's go!